Right, we are now going to jump over to Slido, and some people have already discovered it, which is great. So hopefully you can now see on my screen our icebreaker question of which of the following best describes your role. So if you've not already signed up, you can scan with your phone on the QR code, or you can go to slido.com and then use the hashtag TBIM2021. The more people that we can get to fill in this, then it helps us in terms of understanding who the audience is, and then how the following questions that Jack and Varun have prepared, what that means in terms of some of the context. That's great. Really pleased to see clients are leading the poll at the moment. We've got clients at a BIM event. Really pleased to see you. Okay, we'll give it a few more seconds and see how it goes. So there we are. That's a really interesting breakdown. We have apparently no contractors and no subcontractors, but we do have FM and designers and clients and professional services. So thank you very much. Welcome to all of you again this afternoon. We will now go on, when I remember where to press, on to our next poll, which is...
Oh, there's a contractor.
Finally decided to come clean. Right, okay, brilliant. Okay, so we're going to go to the first question. So while everybody's reading it, Jack or Varun, if you want to explain a little bit about this one, or just leave people to answer the question for themselves. It's pretty straightforward, this one. Oh dear. So we'll let the poll run its course, and as we see the answers developing, then Jack, Varun, you are on notice to come up with your pithy replies and insightful views.
Well, I'm really curious as to, you have a BIM team. I don't know what they do. I guess that's better than not having a BIM team.
I think the one thing for me that stands out is our business doesn't do BIM. Now, I'm sure there will be some form of information management. I think part of me thinks how, and I guess this is one of the things that we've always spoken about, and Duncan, you and I have spoken about this in the past, is a knowledge gap of the understanding of what BIM actually is. I know I've pushed on it's not a 3D model, but it is just about information management and processes that go with that. So although you may not be following the UK BIM framework, that does not mean that you are not doing some form of BIM and better information management.
Yeah, I'd add to that is, unfortunately, I think we're never going to get away from the acronym BIM because it's embedded, but it's so unhelpful because everybody manages information, and that slide of how we basically put all of the information management activities that a typical housing association does and just put it in the right box. And these are the project information requirements. These are your asset information requirements. Basically, if you're a developing housing association, you have a set of employers requirements, and in there you have some handover requirements of, oh, this is where I want my certificates, and then I want you to fill out this form. You're doing BIM. Probably not doing as well as you could, but that's what BIM is. It's just never mind the modeling part. Just drop that. And I know, at L&Q, where they're very advanced. They have their own information management team. They have really good BIM leadership. Probably some of the best in the sector. Never mind the sector, some of the country. They tried to change the term BIM, and they gave it up because it's not going to happen. So basically, we're tattooed with it. We just got to get along with it. But like it or not, you're doing BIM.
Yeah, and I think let's celebrate the fact that we've got our second highest score is it's how our business works. We all do BIM, so that's great to see as well. Right, let's move on to our next question. So, what is your main driver for doing BIM?
For us, that's the why. Why do you actually use information management? Why do you want better information management? And what is the end output that you actually want out of it? And that's kind of where this question came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I would say, though, that the selling point for BIM within the housing sector is reducing risk. You know, that's the urgency for doing it. You must get ready for the building safety regime that is going to come in effect, well, forecasted for 2023, I suppose. But you know, when it happens is irrelevant because the risks are here now. And you know, as you know, try to clarify and explain and sell the BIM in the business case within the toolkit is that's kind of like one slice to the whole pie. It's all of the other benefits, you know, collaboration, all these other things that are listed out here. There's a great deal of reasons why you want to do BIM. But you know, probably with this audience, I'm preaching to the converted. I'm pretty sure.
I'm interested as well. I'm going to ask this one to Varun. Nobody wants to do it to increase profit. What do you think that means?
Well, we haven't got that many contractors on board here, have we? So,
I'm an ex-contractor. You can't say that.
No,
you've got to look at the
I think people, I think Sue just put it in, they won't admit what they actually want out of BIM. And this is the thing. The thing is what people don't realize is if you are reducing risk and you're able to collaborate better, you're actually becoming more efficient, which means you're going to end up being more productive, meaning you will actually work with more profit. So I'm glad that they're not seeing it as the focus behind BIM, but what I would say is by doing everything above correctly and having better information management, you will allow yourself to actually gain more profit from that.
Yeah.
And I suppose I'm glad, if I'm honest with you, that nobody said just to increase profit.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think it shows that actually there's a maturer view in the audience, that they see it as actually those are the things that have come out on the top on the poll are the more important things. And yes, as you say, that will actually happen to increase profit, but that's not what your driver is, and it shouldn't be your driver. That the reducing risk, the better collaboration, those are the more important reasons. Brilliant.
A really quick one is a little story of me negotiating with the service supplier, and I said, hey, I work for a charitable organization. You give me a little bit of a better price, and it was just having a little bit of banter, and Irene said, I'm not a charity. And I say that somewhat facetiously, but actually in very, very honest seriousness is that I want my suppliers to be making a fair profit, because if they're not going to be healthy. So if you're going to do it for profit, as long as it's a fair price, fine. Just do it well and give us a good price.
No, you're absolutely right on that as well. Brilliant. Okay, we will move on to our next question then.
Yeah, I think it's quite self-explanatory. This is what we find.
Don't lead the audience. And if I've got it right on Slido, you should be able to answer for more than one answer. So we will get various views. So at the moment, we appear to have 3 people who've said one thing. Now I can't cope anymore with trying to work out what's going on in the polling. But they are answering the question. That's the important bit. Okay, we're getting close to the end of our online audience that's responding to the polls. So, Varun, do you want to start out with this one then as well?
Yeah, I mean it's all of those have a great, I suppose, effect. I am actually surprised at the bottom one, improved validation of handover information. I think certainly for HAs, it's one of the biggest areas that we've noticed when we start using BIM that we've been able to pick up on, and the processes that are going in place. And I suppose the other one is we like the fact that better quality buildings, and that's I think that's one of the biggest areas that is really important, because even to demonstrate the drive-through gateways and the golden thread, etc., that's only a minute part of it. If we do everything else, and see the benefits from everything else, we will be complying with the golden thread, with the gateways, with their better information management. But I am surprised at that validation of handover information, and also I must admit I'm surprised at the asset information for safety and asset management. That clear asset information for safety and asset management, that's one of the core documents that really should be coming out of the output in terms of deliverables that should be going to the team. So our team's not delivering to that, or are they not defining the requirements stringently enough, I suppose, to see that. Why is it so low in comparison to other areas, I guess?
It might just be, I can't remember, but the 33% represents about 7 people's votes, and I think that might roughly equate to the number of FM people that are on the call. So actually it might be that they've all said it, and it's the fact that, again, with only one contractor on the call, perhaps we haven't got that body of people who actually get involved with the handover process. But sorry, Jack, we cut across you. What your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it is that people aren't valuing it because they're used to not getting it. And then the other potential might be that, dare I say, improved design outcomes and better quality in buildings, to me, is a perception of the Federation of Designs before contract is still with that, oh, well, this is still about the 3D model. And I believe in that, and I've seen it in action, but my God, is that hard to quantify and to put in a business case. So improved validation of handover information is something that I think you could probably quantify a bit better. But I think we've got a couple of other questions to go on. Yeah.
No, blimey, I'm being pushed on by my speakers. That's even better. Okay, off we go then. Question 5.
Jack, if you want to describe this to everybody, I suppose.
Well, it's sort of that Bermuda Triangle, time, cost, and money. Which one are you going to give up on? What's most important to you? In other words, how are you going to, if you want to do BIM and BIM is for you, then what are you most concerned about?
Trying to decide if our top answer is actually because everybody's listened to your presentation and now knows what they should be doing.
That's great.
It's suddenly become their top priority. Do what Jack and Varun says.
Well, that would be too flattering. But I
take
hope
it. Take it.
Yeah, I will. Thank you.
Okay, so we've already started talking about setting out what your business wants to achieve. What do you take from seeing that as everybody agreeing on that one, or the majority agreeing on that?
It is certainly a great place to start because it gives you the clarity, and it's a way to unify people, get people to pull in the same direction, and then get your boss to agree to it and your boss's boss to agree to it. So if they don't agree with it, they still have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd add to that, if we understand what the business needs are, we understand what information we're trying to gather for a business, understanding what we actually have in existing assets allows us to create things like gap analysis to say, well, this is where the business is and what we want to achieve, and this is where we are right now. So yeah, I think that pulls in the right direction, if I'm honest with you. I would be interested to know what the something else is. Is it new standards that are coming into play? Is it things like net carbon zero and stuff like that people are looking at? And it would be really interesting to know.
Well, if the couple of people that have put something else would like to explain what that is in the chat, then we'll know and we can talk about that at another date. Just picking up on the second one again there, where existing assets, and again, the world getting fixated historically if BIM is 3D models, but in terms of information management, what do you both see as the critical or the important data for existing assets if you're going to start to digitize them, for want of a better phrase?
It's the same AIRs. It's that same kit, so that
Okay.
We took the existing asset information requirements and imposed that on the new build. But those were the things that the asset managers touch. These are the things that they get pieces of paper for. These are the things that need repairs. So It's completely. Now, is that set complete? Are we done with it? No, because we're going to have some more outputs from the Golden Thread Initiative. They're going to help clarify more information requirements that are going to be needed for your building safety case. So, there's a huge amount of things that were already on the list. It's a very good list. Go ahead and use it now. I stand by it, but it's going to get better.
Yeah,
I think.
Sorry, Duncan.
No, go on, Varun. Go on.
I think just to add to that, consistency of information, doesn't matter if it's a new build or existing asset, is key to being able to have a fluid process that works in all facets of an organization. If we start saying on existing assets we're only going to capture X, Y, and on new builds we're going to capture X, Y, and Z, then straight away we're going to be in a position where, well, once things go into an existing asset, are you going to stop forgetting about it because we're not going to pick it up? So it's about being able, and I suppose that's why I was saying the top area, understanding our business needs and what information we actually need to capture. That then needs to go on every single asset that we own. Doesn't matter if it's new or existing.
Yeah, so it's a process of filling in the blanks, and then there's a really good essay by asset managers about existing buildings. And when we explored this topic, we asked them, do you need a different set of EIRs, AIRs, et cetera, et cetera? And they analyzed it, and these, 13 directors, assistant directors, heads of people with, there's probably over 150, 200 years of experience in the sector said, no, it's the same.
Yeah. Now, I think that's really powerful because, again, where historically that might have been that the contracting parties in a D&B or whatever it is, delivery project, would just kind of guess what they thought the O&M should be and lob it as a archive box over the fence, theoretically, or visually, so to speak. That actually talking to those asset management teams, what are your pain points, and then that informs the whole of your design and your construction process, has got to be the better way forward. That's really good. Thank you for that one, folks. Okay, on to our next one. Right, this time we have a word cloud option. So on your devices, you get to type in what you think your chief BIM challenges are. And if you all type the same word, it will get bigger. If you type lots of different words, we'll have lots of different words on the screen. This one, there we are. Somebody's managed to work it. That's a good start. I've got the question right on the poll. So we'll again, whoa, here we come. What I would say on this is just dive in, Jack, Varun, if there's a word that you see there. Obviously, there are some that are getting bigger, but if there's something that you spot, just dive in now and give us your thoughts.
So a couple, and I'm sure Jack will touch on the buy-in because Jack's been through it in a couple of organisations already, so he will be best to talk about it. I think one of the ones that's hit me is the culture change, because with that buy-in comes in that culture change, and certainly on an implementation and strategic side, that has been probably one of the biggest areas that we've had to focus on, not just looking at, core documentation and processes, etc., that come in, but how we actually change people's mindsets into understanding what we're trying to achieve. But buy-in, Jack, I'll let you, because I know we've spoken about this a million times.
Yeah, with Varun and other people, and it's really difficult even after you working in a big organization. You want to do something big, do big change, then you go through a process of you write a paper, and then you go and it gets approved by the various governance processes, and then if you get through those gateways, and you present it to your executive committee, and then they approve it. And then, at one point I thought naively, well, now I've got an executive approved strategy here, so everybody's just going to bow to me because I have the executive scepter. And then that was ridiculous. It was naive, because there's going back to that example of what data do we collect, X, Y. Well, we're not going to be able to get Z for the existing assets. said to the director of asset management, do you know how much that's going to cost me in condition surveys to get that? And I said, well, wait a second. You don't have to go out and get it all tomorrow. So next time you do your condition survey, then you add that to your, to the tablet that your condition surveyors use. And okay, that was one little obstacle that was overcome, but they didn't actually buy into it because they already had a huge amount of inertia and literally 100 people working in that asset management department. So it is not something that you're going to change overnight, but having that top-down leadership endorsement of your activities is a helpful reminder, and it's kind of like a delegated authority. But if you don't continue to promote it, then that culture was still going to, I think, well, we're rolling this still out now, so who knows where we're going to end up. We're still early on in the journey, I think, as a sector, but it's just really, I think, getting that buy-in is also, there's nothing more powerful than fear of non-compliance. So that's helping sell it, but hopefully what we'll be able to do is, as we go on with the BIM for Housing Associations journey, is get people to use the toolkit and have some really positive outcomes and stories to share of, help me get a better price, or look, there's a better building, or the design team collaborated with the contractor better, all sorts of different things.
What I've also picked up on in this is interoperability as well. And yeah, I think that's one of the biggest areas that needs to be focused on. And it's quite interesting because people get an understanding of interoperability, and there's a lot of working groups right now that are working on this term interoperability. But when we focus on it from a HA perspective, it's about how we can actually bring in processes right now that will actually work and align with HAs. And certainly a lot of the work we've done, even on the BIM for HA side, has focused quite a lot on interoperability. Would you not say, Jack?
Yeah, I think so. And I'm just looking at that word cloud, though, Varun, and if I'm just looking at what the bigger words are, and I think, interoperability is something that's going to make collaboration easier, get buy-in, reduce time and resource, but that's difficult to achieve. And I think that, to help people maybe get started is time and resource is hopefully the toolkit is there, or other resources from the UK BIM framework. And what we have been discovering is that once you get your toolkit in place, then rolling it out, spreading BIM throughout your organization, it's a lot more efficient, more effective. So the resource and time goes down. So that upfront investment pays returns.
Yeah, and just on that,
address what the challenges might be.
And certainly if we're looking at the bigger words, understanding as well, look at the toolkit. We've actually put guidance towards that toolkit, and we've tried to explain things in a way that will allow you to understand, as if it's the way we've seen it is, it's a starting point for you to start developing your BIM journey. And that's it will give you a good understanding of what kind of information is required to begin that BIM journey.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. Lead on to the next one. Okay, so techie question. So your presentation focused in the first half particularly around this hierarchy of information requirements, the infamous figure 2 in ISO 19650 part 2. Geeks sad that we remember these things, but have you seen in our audience any of these documents? You can tick any and all, and we probably ought to have put bets on this one. For how many zeros? Whoa, blimey, I've lost money already.
That is almost exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
Okay. Right, you can explain why that is exactly what you expected then.
Well, exchange information requirements and project information requirements are where, no matter where you are in a supply chain, those are the things that you will see. So even if everybody's doing BIM properly, you know, if you're a contractor, you might not see the asset information model, or, you know, OIRs. But EIRs is, you know, that's the contract document. And
Yeah.
you can make BIM happen without any of those. You know, you won't be doing it correctly, you might not do it to the best, but without EIRs, then BIM's nothing. You know, you won't get your BAP, your BIM execution plan. So that's why I expected it that way.
Yeah, I've got nothing to add to that. I completely agree. Completely agree. It's nice to see. What I would say is it's nice to see that people have got OIRs and AIRs. And I'd like to hope that those AIRs have then informed the EIRs. Obviously, there's no way of telling, but it's nice to see that they are there.
Yeah. No, I am pleasantly surprised as well, whether that also focuses or brings out the fact that we had quite a few clients, or we have quite a few clients in the audience this afternoon. But yeah, no, that's good. Be nice to see some people sharing some of these as examples so the rest of the industry can learn as well, but that's a whole new area for us. Okay. So our next question, where do you go to acquire data?
Google.
So, yeah, I know it's not quite that question. This is making a better assumption. So CapEx, capital expenditure records, OpEx, operational expenditure records, for those of you that don't know the terms. But where do people get the business data at the moment? Stunned silence from our audience. It's always good when I say that, that's when they start answering the questions. It's looking fairly positive at the moment in terms of our high answers questions.
Yeah, and I guess I got a challenge for the questions though. Contract deliverables and supply chain. Isn't that almost the same?
Could be. Good point.
But it's nice to see hard copies down there. You know, there's some archive records. Things happened before the internet existed. I know that a lot of young people don't believe that it could have happened. Very entertaining.
We'll explain it to Varun.
Wait for my side.
It's very, very entertaining to watch some 10-year-old or 11-year-old kids play with a cassette.
What came before the cassette?
8-track, vinyl.
Yeah, vinyl never went, but we're going into different territory now.
Yeah. Yes, we would be singing the wrong tune, wouldn't we?
Okay, any particular thoughts on the feedback we've got from this question then?
No, that's pretty clear, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. Not a problem. Okay. So, final question. So, when do you mostly do digital on your project? So going back to the RIBA stages. And let's see what comes out from this.
Interesting.
This is a great question.
It's a shame with Slido the way that it ranks things up, because if it kept them all in the order, you'd kind of like to see a bell curve or something, or just actually a wave as it gets bigger and bigger as it goes through, perhaps, or something. But again, unfortunately with Slido, we can't see the percentage against stage 0. But there probably is some votes down there. It'll be in the data that we collect from this. I have to say, I'm pleased to see stage 6 is doing well. That's good to see. But what are your thoughts, gents?
Well, yeah, my bell curve is different, and you know, we've launched several BIM projects, but they're not being handed over yet, so I have yet to see it.
Yeah, I suppose it depends on the audience that is actually answering as well, on where they will see it on a project. It is nice that people are seeing it on the verification of handover, and that they're seeing it through construction. So that is a great area to see it. And it will be great if you know, in a year's time we send that same poll out and you'll see that stage 7 actually has a lot more digitalization in there. I would love that. And I hope that's where this journey will take us, if I'm honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And post-occupancy evaluation is going to become mandatory in one way or another. GLA, I think I would forecast the Greater London Authority as grant funders for housing associations. I anticipate that they will require that. And then if you're running anything for retrofit projects that is receiving any money from base, you have to do, you have to measure building performance. So it's just amazing to me. And well, it's not amazing because you don't have to do it, but you so should. And it requires time, effort, and energy to properly and systematically review. But I wholeheartedly agree, Varun. I think that would be so enriching for us to review project performance and lessons learned in a systematic digital way using BIM.
Yeah.
That's how we'll get better buildings for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that the lack of take up, for want of a better phrase, in terms of doing post-occupancy evaluations that the industry has, you could probably argue, got away with for decades, is no longer going to be the case. And suddenly designers, construction teams, the whole supply chain or whatever is actually going to be presented with, this is what your amazing shiny asset looks like 12 months later. Or actually it raises those conversations of, we have done this for the following reasons, and this is why you've got what you've got, so that you manage client expectation equally on the other side, from the other side of that lens or whatever. So
yeah, and I'll shout out Pollard Thomas Edwards. They, as an architectural firm, they've done a lot of regeneration and a lot of work in East London. They go to everything they build year on year. They ride their bicycles and they look at what they've built, what they've delivered in their designs, and they learn from it. And that's, you know, good practice deserves some recognition. So
definitely.
You had to put bicycles into there though, Jack.
Huh?
You had to put bicycles into there, didn't you?
I did, yeah, I did. and but I didn't buy a taco on the way. So I think we'll probably explain that to the audience, why I've mentioned tacos several times. And
he's a tacoholic, that's all we can say.
Yeah, and basically something I say about BIM is that, you know, as a client, a lot of times, unless you fill out you go through the process of defining your AIRs, a lot of clients just say, hey, I want BIM. And the joke was, you walk into a taco shop and you say, I want a taco. And then you're surprised when you get a fish taco instead of a chicken taco. If you ask for a taco, you're going to get a taco. If you're going to ask for BIM and you don't know what you're asking for, you're probably going to get a very high prohibitive price, because they're going to assume, your supply chain are going to assume that you want everything. but you don't need everything. So that's what the taco joke is.
And very appropriate it is too.
Sorry, Sue.
Okay, right. Well, that brings us pretty much to the end. That's all of our polls. So thank you very much for everybody that's taken part in those. Right, I shall now work out how to stop sharing that screen and then move my mouse around and go to that screen. Okay. Right. So, oh, that's not what I expected it to do. Thank you very much. That's better. Right, so it just remains for me this afternoon then to thank Jack Ostrofsky and to Varun Soni for excellent presentation discussion this afternoon and leading us through the poll questions that they set. Thank you also to Sue in the background for all your sterling work as well, keeping us all on track, making sure we're all doing the right things, and for sharing a lot of the information via Twitter this afternoon. But I think it's been, I know it's been, and I knew it was going to be as soon as we set the idea up, a really interesting afternoon. Really pleased that we've had the team from BIM for Housing Associations here to talk to us. I absolutely thoroughly recommend their toolkit. I think it is really good, if nothing else, just for that figure 2 of actually taking all the various OIRs, EIRs and Uncle Tom Cobley and all, and actually going, right, what does that mean for my business? What does that mean in my sector? And that's something I think we can all take away and go and look at and go, right, okay, what would I translate that to be within our sector or on our projects, and how do we take these things going forward? So absolutely recommend you all go and download if you haven't already, and if you have, keep reading it, keep learning it. And if there are things that you think actually are worth challenging, then please obviously send that information back to the team at the BIM for Housing Associations. This is the first step, as they've said, on their journey. They've put their head above the parapets or whatever, created this fantastic tool, but it's there for people to critique, suggest, develop, move forward. And that's the only way we're all going to learn as an industry. So thank you very much to Jack and to Varun. And my last bits and pieces then will be, when I find the right place to click, is that our final conference for the year this year, which we really do hope finally will be face-to-face. Well, have a face-to-face element. We're looking to do a blended event, so you'll still be able to join us online and participate here, take part in polls, things like this, but also the opportunity, we hope, to actually run a face-to-face event again will be on the 1st of December, and we are doing this around the golden thread. So we will be picking up some of the themes that have been talked about this afternoon with Jack and Varun, and we're very pleased that we've got secured speakers from the Department for Communities, Housing and Local Government coming to speak about the golden thread, as well as other organisations that have been involved in developing the Golden Thread initiative. So again, another great event organisation for your date for your diaries. And of course, we're starting to think and plan about what we're going to do for 2022, which will be our 11th year by the time we get to it. But we will finally get round to celebrating our 10th anniversary, we hope, at a spring event next year. So thank you very much to our presenters, to Jack, to Varun, thank to Sue in the background. Thank you, of course, to Liz and Donna for their sterling work in making these events happen. It only leaves me to say thank you formally on the screen and wish you all I was going to say a safe journey home, but I don't know how many of you already do it at home already. Who knows? Anyway, take care and we'll see you at the next event. Thank you. Bye.